Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Human Rights Commission meeting for the City of Revere. It is now currently 5:12, and we are in the City Council chambers. Thank you for everyone who's joining us today, and I am calling the meeting to order. Before we start our meeting, I would just like to have a roll call of commissioners. After I say your name, just say hi. Okay. Sarnath, Chair Shema Husseini, here. Commissioner Molly McGee.
Here.
Commissioner Karu Pitch.
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Garcia.
Here.
Vice Chair Herbie Baptiste.
Here.
Commissioner Samaya Larosi.
Here.
And for the remaining commissioners, Chief Callahan will not be joining us for the meeting tonight. We'll move on to our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on Native land, the land of the Pawtucket, and that we invite any Native Americans who live in the City of Revere to join us of any meetings, current and future, to join our meetings, and we would like to have them join our family here at the HRC. Additionally, I would like to read our mission statement before we move on to the approval of the minutes whenever everyone is ready. The mission of the Revere Human Rights Commission is to promote human and civil rights and empower all people of Revere by ensuring that everyone, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized, have equitable opportunities, equal access, and are treated with dignity, respect, fairness, and justice. Thank you, everyone. I would also like to acknowledge that we have a special guest with us here. It's Noor. Feel free to say hi. He's a fellow student at Revere High School. So if you want to say hi, feel free.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noor Ashur, and I'm really honored to be here today. I would thank everyone. And I'm a student. I'm a freshman at Revere High School, and I strive for perfection in all that I do. And I'm very honored to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and joining us, Noor. I would also like to acknowledge the people in the audience. Thank you for you folks for joining us for today's meeting. It's going to be very exciting. I can't wait till we engage in the conversation we're going to have, especially the whatever surprise we have for the City of Revere. I would like to set a motion, just have someone to approve the minutes from the October 3rd monthly meeting.
Motion to approve the minute.
Second.
Before we move on to the meat of our meeting, I would just like to acknowledge any of the monthly acknowledgements and events that we have for the month of November. November 1st was the start of National Native American and Alaskan Heritage Month, which is going to be a big part of whatever we're going to do for today's meeting. November 1st was also Day of the Dead, or Dia de las Muertes, which is a holiday that is celebrated by many Spanish and Hispanic cultures around the world, and here in Revere as well. November 9th was World Freedom Day. November 9th is World Freedom Day. November 11th is Veterans Day. November 13th is World Kindness Day. November 16th, International Day for Tolerance. November 17th is International Students Day. November 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance. November 28th is Thanksgiving, and November 29th is Black Friday. Is there any other events that you folks would like me to acknowledge while we're here? Nope. For anyone who's watching our meeting, if there are any events I haven't mentioned or holidays I haven't mentioned for November or any other months, please go to the Human Rights Commission website and submit a request for us to put it on the calendar when possible. Thank you. Now moving on, the thing that we're going to be presenting is the documentary that ultimately came off from our trip to Plymouth in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day. So whenever we're ready, we're gonna move on from here, and then we're gonna make our way to the circle. Thank you.
On the coastal waters of the South Shore, there are the ancestral homelands of the Wampanoag tribe. Prior to colonization by the English, the Wampanoag inhabited the waterways, marshes, and forests that surround Plymouth, Mass. The name Wampanoag derives from Wapanus, which means people of the first light, a fitting name for a tribe that lived where the sun would rise over Massachusetts Bay each morning. Prior to English contact in the 17th century, the Wampanoag numbered as many as 40,000 people living across 67 villages, composing the Wampanoag Nation. These villages covered the territory along the east coast, as far as Wessagusset, today called Weymouth, all of what is now Cape Cod, and the islands of Nantucket and Noepe, now called Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, and southeast as far as Pokanoket, now Bristol and Warren, Rhode Island. The Wampanoag lived on this land for over 12,000 years. On Thursday, October 17th, the Revere Human Rights Commission and students and staff from Revere Public Schools set out to gain a deeper appreciation for our local Native American history and culture by traveling to sacred indigenous lands in Plymouth that were home to the thriving Wampanoag tribe. Led by Strong Oak Lefebvre, Executive Director and co-founder of the Visioning Bear Circle Intertribal Coalition, Inc., the group first traveled to Plymouth, Patuxet, and later to the Tidmarsh Sanctuary. In Native American culture, Strong Oak is a symbolic name representing strength, resilience, wisdom, and longevity, often used to signify a person with a strong character, deeply rooted in their community, much like the physical qualities of an oak tree itself. It is considered a powerful and positive symbol across many tribes. The purpose of the visit was to understand the struggles the indigenous people have endured over the centuries of colonization, while recognizing the strength, resilience, and survival of their cultures, histories, and communities. The exposure to the indigenous land allowed the group to travel back in time and connect with the spirit and soul of those who lived on this land before the arrival of the Europeans, reflect on the inaccurate and false narratives taught in our textbooks for centuries, and foster cross-cultural understanding and appreciation for the indigenous cultures and their rights to ancestral lands. Before entering Plymouth, Patuxet, Strong Oak gathered the group for a tobacco ceremony. Native American tribes have used tobacco for spiritual and medicinal purposes for generations. It is central to indigenous culture, spirituality, and healing. As Strong Oak explains, tobacco is one of the 4 medicines given to walk in balance with all beings on Mother Earth. We offer tobacco to our relatives. We ask permission to walk among them wherever we go. Here, the group watches the ancient art of constructing a mishoon, or canoe. For Wampanoag families, mishunash, boats, were invaluable tools for fishing, trading, and transportation. The most common mishoon style was a dugout. Constructed from a single pine, chestnut, or oak tree, mishoons are shaped using fire, stone axes, and various other scraping tools. At Plymouth, Patuxet, the group met modern-day Native people. Some are Wampanoag, while some are from other Native nations. The group talks about the way of life and a culture that continues to thrive with a contemporary interpreter from the museum. The interpreter shows the group the rabbit stew he is preparing, using traditional methods and local ingredients found in Plymouth, like wild onion and other vegetables. A wetu is a domed hut used by northeastern Native American tribes, such as Wampanoag. They provide shelter, sometimes seasonal or temporary, for families living near the wooded coast as they hunt and fish. Wetus are made from sticks of the red cedar tree, and the frame is covered with tree bark or mats made from grass or reeds. These structures could last up to 15 years before the tribe's clan would move to another part of their ancestral homelands and allow the earth to rejuvenate.
So this kind of model is still happening. And like this one, like they leave it and come back after 45 years. When they do the other lodges now for the teaching lodges, they're up for about 3 years. And then they take them down in a sacred way, then they build it back up again. So this is like kind of throughout Canada, because this whole area was kind of in the migration pattern. Going down, we were supposed to get to the place where the food grows on the water, where the white rice grows. We were all supposed to migrate, and the prophecies told us we were supposed to do that. Remember I shared that with you?
Tidmarsh Sanctuary in Plymouth's Manomet section is within the region of the Wampanoag tribe, who in earlier times maintained a fishing weir at the mouth of Bartlett's Pond, nearby. Its outlet to the sea is sometimes known as Herring Brook. The name Manomet means bearing of a burden, referring to the baskets used by the Wampanoag on trails between their settlements at Patuxet, Plymouth, and Cape Cod. The largest freshwater ecological restoration ever completed in the Northeast took place at this site, converting a working cranberry farm to a wildlife preserve. Among the many benefits were the return of river herring and muskrat back to Beaver Dam Brook after a long absence.
Yeah. You can't go change the world if you're not changing yourself. I believe
You did the ceremony together. Creator, we are gathered here today, and first most with gratitude for the beauty of creation, which we are just one part of. We are connected to all life forms. In particular, we have reverence for the natural world. We learn and we heal much when we're in the natural, when we're out in nature. Your mothers, grandfathers, four directions, elements. We're here today to gather together to walk upon this land. And we just have so much gratitude. That's mostly what we have. And then we have permission to walk and be with you. And we have a tobacco syrup offering here. Before you go, get started. These are actually tobacco seeds that you thank you. Plant, and have for harvest. I don't have any tobacco seeds. Thank you so much. Grandmother, would you pick the place where we're gonna? So for everyone to be able to, just want to we express, have enough, I think, that we're on your territory here. We're visitors visitors of the Herring Pond Wampanoag. We've been here for 15,000 years, and be good if we could each say our name. We are Renon Hassan, and we come here as a visitor, and we ask permission that we be able to enter your lands. If anybody would like to have some sample. Yes, I'll pass mine around here. But you take it in your left hand, and your hand gets closer to your heart. Or that's where you'll have it on the left.
Or take it out.
Yeah, take it out. Which I was bad and did one thing. Oh. But it was supposed to do it that way, no? Yeah, whatever we do ceremony, we always take the tobacco and all that. Closest to your heart is your reason. There's always a reason. And if you want to say your name or something, you can, or a word or two, right? Grandma would want to say something. Yes.
Well, I am thankful and I'm grateful to be on this land, and I appreciate the grandmother, grandfather for the 7th generation for letting us be here on this land and welcoming all of us. So I'm forever thankful.
Clockwise? Everybody's got tobacco?
Yeah.
Okay. you can just watch it like, you can do that. I'll walk with you. Yep. If you want to say a little something when you drop it, that's fine. We'll go slow. You want to give gratitude.
Land that isn't inherently ours just means that we have to take care of it more. We have this sense that if something is mine, I could treat it however way I wanted to treat it. But the fact that this land isn't ours just means we have to take care of it a lot more. And that's something that we have to spread that message to in Revere. It will take some time, but this is the first step, is just putting ourselves in this position to really be vulnerable. And now, like, the next step is to take whatever we learn here and really disseminate that within the community. So I can't wait till we continue discussing about what happened today, but I'm really happy that we're all here as a family. I think at this point in the HRC history, we are indeed a family. So yeah, I just want to thank everyone for that.
All right. So first, I'd like to thank Stronghold also. Likewise, like many others have already expressed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, for traveling 3 hours in a row. Gail, thank you for your wisdom. I learned that Gail served as a nurse 48 years. That's a long time. And it's another profession also that likely other professions there, the nursing profession is very important. So, and also I would like to thank all the commissioners for being here. Steve from the city, Asman, from the city as well, and everybody, and Tony, Molly for being here. This is John for covering this event, this wonderful event. He's been here with us since probably 7 a.m.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
So this is a day for deep reflection. What I have experienced on this land is amazing, personally, and I hope collectively we all have experienced that. I'm just looking around. I see the trees. I see the ground. I see marks. I see stones. I see everything. Things that probably you don't see every day, because every day you are either in school, in the four walls, or you're out there doing something else. So what I can say is that the lessons learned from this trip today will be the foundation work as we pursue our visioning of building a strong, equitable community in Revere. Revere needs us. Revere needs people like this, to pursue or to push the work forward. There's no other way around it. We have students joining us now. There's a lot of education that we need to do. We have come a long way in Revere. There's a lot of things that positive that are taking place in our city. That's something we have to acknowledge. But I think considering our demographic changes and the number of students and families that we have in our city, it is important to continue to push the envelope.
This is the beauty of our city, and also for the Human Rights Commission. So we have to keep the respect and the love, and this is the important thing. And also to bring this to the community and to our next generation. When we look around, yes, I see this land. We all came from this land. We have the same skin. You know what I mean? So I love this, and I'm happy that I will be able to go back and even tell my kids about my experience today. So thank you again.
You're reflecting upon today and putting it all into perspective. The nuance that it adds to the narrative of the founding of our country really puts into perspective that the freedom, the very freedom we feel like looking around this reservation, it shows that it really puts into perspective that it came at a cost. The cost of lives of indigenous people, and how it was taken over so hostile. So really being here and being away from the city, it's really mindful and really brings a lot of peace affect your mind, while at the same time, it makes you realize how the freedom that we preach every day of living in this country came at such a volatile cost.
I am so grateful to have been invited to be here, to be a part of this circle, to have people listen to my words, to speak about issues about inclusivity as an immigration attorney, advocating that people be treated equally when they are migrants in an area. I'm honored to be able to come back to Indigenous land and be uplifted by Indigenous people in this quest for equality for everyone and equal treatment on land that isn't even ours to be regulating. I am reminded about where I'm from, where I was born, when I visit such sacred land, and I'm so pleased to hear from my fellow commissioners about how we're all reminded about something being in this land, and it really is something that I wish we could bring back and give to our community in Revere and remind people to join us, that it's nice to be included, but it's essential to be included, and through that inclusivity, we're really getting to a place of belonging for everyone. So thank you so much to my elders that shared. Thank you for that song, that you would share your wisdom, that you would know that we need you, the younger generations, and that the younger generations would listen. That you would listen and take it in, continue to share.
I think especially being here and being here with you today, and just everything that we witnessed, it's adding to that, I think. With being able to, knowing that I'm going back to a space that prides itself in quite literally claiming land that was public before and then colonized and then made public afterwards, when it was never our land to begin with, never our space to even make it public again.
That we're all part of the problem and we're all part of the solution too, because like when things happen in front of us and we don't address it, which happens a lot, where people are afraid to say their truth or speak their experience because they're afraid of things that could happen. Even the woman today who was afraid that we were going to bring controversy to their space, and where we see that even there today there's not an adequate addressing of what happened to Indigenous people here. There's not the way, it's somehow or other the whole concept of forgiving oneself. If we knew how to forgive ourselves, maybe it wouldn't be so hard to be accountable, to say, look, we're a part of really a wrong that happened here, and how can we move forward together to work on this? And Indigenous people are really generous and open to that. Like, we understand that we all have to go together and that everyone's related. And so even those of us, even if you had a child or someone you knew that was in trouble, they will grow more by loving them rather than, making them feel like they can't get up off the ground after a mistake or something. So I'm just thinking about how upsetting it is to come to Plymouth and see all those opulent mansions, and to see the grudging amount of space they will acknowledge for Indigenous people. The overwhelming feeling that we get when we come to Plymouth, and even more so after seeing the little amount of space that was given to the Patuxet Village as opposed to everything else, is that they wish for us to not be here anymore. So they wouldn't have to feel that they wouldn't have to see that we're still here. And then they could rest easy, like we could be their mascots comfortably. They still try to make us mascots even today. And so there's a sadness that I feel about it. But when I look at all of you, and I feel the hope of what's coming, when I look at you, Norm, I just feel yeah, it's in good hands, because it's one heart at a time and there's no shortcut to this. And like you're one of the ones that are going forward, and we think a lot of you have come into the world at this time, and that we're your elders, and we need to be supporting you. We need to be accountable for what we've, like the legacy that we've given, and we need to demonstrate what it's like to move forward together, even in the face of all this calamity that we see. I mean, I'm looking at people that are not on their homelands, and why not? Some taken away without their permission, and other people are here to be in a better place for themselves, for whatever the reason. There's a purpose in coming, and then when they arrive, look at the mess that we put out there. We're not who we say we are in the world. We're not as welcoming as we need to be, and we're not as equitable, but that's where we're going. And places like this can fill you up when you're having a tough day. So we hope you visit a lot. This is how it was for everywhere when the land was free.
Voice your concern, your excitement, your opinion, because in my culture there's a saying called the Banks Nang Risai, which means you are the next generation of manhood. So, I mean, not man, human kind.
That too.
Yes, that too. So, I will do anything in my power to make sure that there is a real pure love and empathy and peace and equity there. Knowing that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and a lot of violence that happened on the street also happened at home. There's a lot of violence at home that stem to other violence on the street as well. So I want to be part of that community solutions and all kinds of violence. Gender-based violence, violence against women and children, and all kinds of violence, and really modeling that. And I have seen a lot lately that people, it's like instead of cherish, embrace people who are kind, instead they take advantage of people who are kind. And yet I still encourage people who are kind, still be kind. Don't have all of those animosity really changing the way you are. When I was with the teacher last week, learning that a lot of kids need lots of guidance and support from the adults, especially around what is healthy relationship, what is consent, what is boundary, what is respect. So I just want us to, for me, make a commitment, and also want us to really looking and reflecting within ourselves how we contribute as an individual to all of this. Like Grandmother Stronghold said, we're also part of the solution. We are part of the problem, we're also part of the solution, right? There's always solution to every issue. So I know my commitment that I'm gonna always reflect on myself.
Not just to be hopeful, but to stay hopeful, to forgive others, to be respectful, to be mindful, and to care about others, and to be grateful. Grateful to their parents, grateful to their surroundings, grateful to the opportunities they get. I'm really grateful for my parents for raising me this way and teaching me how to be a good student, just to be respectful and always pushing me to do the right thing. And I'm really thankful today for receiving an invitation from Dr. Garcia to come here, because after seeing everything and meeting everyone, you're all so kind that I did not expect that I would be in an environment where I would find people that actually cared and made us go to lands that do not only belong to us, but to everyone. So everyone can just be fair. So you can live in environments where it's not going to be 100%, but we need to work to be 100%. No one can be perfect. Nothing can be perfect. That's why we always have to try to improve. There's always room for improvement. People may forget everything. Many people forget things, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That is very important, that we must work to help each other.
And I was saying myself, these kind of people, you won't find them like kind of anywhere. I mean, I said to Dr. Garcia this morning, I think these people involved like kind of 3 activists. We need those kind of people around us. And we need these people on this planet because that's the only way we can protect what we can have, especially this land. You know, a land like this. And I was talking to a man about like kind of the fear I have on the upcoming years, probably another 50 years, what will happen to this land? Do this land gonna be consistent or not? Do like kind of you're gonna see some building on it, kind of, or some people gonna claim it, say, okay, look, we wanna put like kind of apartment on it. So we're gonna need people like kind of to continue like kind of to make like kind of aware of the around the world, like kind of in this country. Because we're lucky, we're in Massachusetts. We have some people like kind of have different ideas about like kind of people living in the South. When you're talking about like when you take like kind of 13 colonies states, we're not the same as like kind of other states. We have a different mentality, we have a different mind. But I think we need the kind of to continue as to work together with the other group of like kind of the other state to teach them like kind of how to be together, to respect each other, to make sure like kind of we don't preach violence. We make sure like kind of that we know we all in this fight together. Black, white, we all have the same blood. It doesn't matter you white, you yellow, you like kind of any colors. When you get pinched by something, you see blood coming out. It doesn't come in as a black, as a yellow. It came out as a red.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
tell
tell
us.
us.
We have to be cautious for what we say and what we do, so we make sure everyone is included.
Inclusive, yeah, that's so important, the inclusivity. You're so young to know all this. I love being here with you.
That's
right. It does that for all of you, right?
So I really like this environment.
Yes.
No, so you came with this group.
Yeah.
Visit a place called Plymouth, and especially all these indigenous sites that you saw and experience you're getting. And so when you go back to your family, the school, what message would you like to share with your colleagues and tell them about the wonderful experience that you got with us here? What are you going to tell your family today when you go home? Was it worthwhile? Was it something that you were not expecting? What about tomorrow? Your colleagues at school?
Okay, so when I go home, I'll tell my parents what happened. I'll tell them how much I've learned about the indigenous people and the way they lived and the way everyone should be respected and treated fairly. And just learning about today and seeing how people lived back then and just learning about their history and how they were treated and how they came here and made their way of life. Everyone should be treated fairly. So tomorrow, or any day, when I go to school or any environments, I'll always think that whatever I say, whatever I do, I have to keep in mind that everyone has feelings and we should always respect each other and our culture.
What I think about visiting places like this, it always reminds me about the importance of building cross-cultural understanding among people from different faiths, different beliefs, experiences, and so on and so forth. So just being here with all of you, I can see, you know, the collegiality growing, the understanding of each other growing. I've learned things that I probably from some of you that probably did not know about. So visiting places this morning and now here reminds me about how small we are, you know, and small not in the sense of being diminutive or, you know, demeaning us, but small in terms of sometimes we believe that we are these grandiose, right? And there is a common denominator that unifies and brings us together. And what we see is this circle of people that really gives me hope that there is always a better tomorrow. It gives me hope that, certainly there is something that is in us that makes us the people of the world. We are one people, after all.
It doesn't belong to me. I know that.
But we belong to the land and land belongs to us.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street.
Right.
A lot of times, some of my other friends, they see the whole thing as stewardship. But stewardship is, yes, it's good, but that's all about you doing something, taking care of it's got to be a reciprocal thing.
Right.
And that's one of my father's, my father used to say that. You take care of the land, it'll take care of you.
Just being here, I feel different. It just moving away from the great city, the cities, the noise, and being on a land that is very sacred. And it's, that is, you can feel the purity of this place, just even the air that you breathe is totally different. So, my 2 cents, that if I would put one message together for us, it's for us to be united, stronger, and whenever we have an opportunity to learn and go and share the knowledge, there's nothing that replaces experience that you see, that you experience in the real place. Textbooks is one thing, learning from the field is a total different ball game. So if I were to put my reflections together, I thank you for the opportunity and thank you for being here today. I really enjoy it.
We sing to the rocks to acknowledge them as keepers of ancestral memory. As we conclude our day together in this magnificent Plymouth Historic District, we invite you to reflect deeply on today's experience and take actionable steps to educate our children and others about the Wampanoag's rich history, culture, and tradition, as well as how these elements relate to their land and way of life. We believe that this self-awareness journey will help us understand the grief and suffering that the Wampanoag people have undergone for generations, allowing us to take conscious steps toward creating a more equitable and inclusive society. As we honor American Native American Heritage Month, we invite you to be a real social justice ambassador, a change agent, and an advocate for the downtrodden.
Before we move on to the debriefing of like whatever we experienced at the march and at the museum, I would like to give credit where credit's due. So, thank you, Mr. John Lintz, for directing all that you've done, from being there at 7 o'clock in the morning and recording everything that went on that day from the beginning till the end, and just being a part of the creation of such an amazing documentary. So I want to thank you for that. And with Dr. Garcia, I know that you folks work in accordance with each other. So like I said, I just want to give credit where credit's due. So thank you very much for all your efforts and being a part of that journey with us. You were a part of that process just as much as we were. So, and thank you very much for that. So, we're just gonna take a small recess so we can move to the circle, and then we'll restart from there. Thank you. try them? For you? Oh, I'll just have it.
All right. Well, who's going to do that? When I go back to South Dakota, I will get them for you guys. So when you do so, I'll read it.
Oh, we need to use the microphone.
Okay. The turtle is glad to be back after it's met all of our voices have been in it. But when we go to South Dakota in the summer, we will bring back, a turtle. I'll show you pictures and you can tell me which one you want me to bring back because they're all different kind and they're all different colors. So that'll be a gift for the Human Rights Commission. All right. I see. Well, I'll make sure that you're on that. You know what I mean? I won't get it until everybody says. I might get a couple.
Oh.
Yeah, Harbor Cove here.
Representing
Mhm.
the tribe.
Yeah, well, I wanted to, before we go, I wanted to say Kevin Fasthorse is, you can't buy these online. He has a consignment with Prairie's Edge. After we Sundance, everybody goes to Prairie's Edge, and they have amazing things there that the people from Pine Ridge, they made, and it's all on consignment. And so he has many of these turtles, and Kevin Fasthorse, he's a direct relative of people. He has relatives that were massacred at Wounded Knee. So his family You know, in the center of the Wounded Knee Memorial is where the actual people who were massacred were, and their families are all around there. And you can see like the generosity, and because there even is a section over there for the Episcopalian Church. So they have their own section over there. I think there are a lot of people who also belong to churches as well as do their traditions. That's my take on it. All the reservations that we go to, they found a way to make a bridge. So, but Kevin Fastloff's family, they have, like, their relatives are buried outside, and this is one of the descendants. So I plan to write to him and let him know how many voices and how much this has meant to a lot of people, you know, to be able to sit in circle and tell our stories. So I guess we can start our circle today. So in honor of the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the grandparents of the East, we send our thoughts out in appreciation for the value of truth and honor, the value of being honest in circle, that the trust that what we do and all the stories we tell for our healing are our way to bridge and come to some truth that none of us will ever fully recognize in our lifetime here. But by sharing our stories together, we can get some proximate way of addressing that and growing from that. And whatever, everything is carried directly above the clouds by the eagle who rules this direction. They are the medicine of this direction, and they travel across the clouds. And what beautiful clouds that were in that video from where we went. We were really blessed with clouds that day. They were exceptional. And the eagle flies above them and carries what we have in our heart directly to the Creator, however we call that one. And so we send our thoughts out that be present in our circle today. Grandmothers, grandfathers, grandparents of the South, the place of the black deer, where all medicine comes, and it comes from the deer family. Deer family is very kind and very caring, and when you look in a deer's eyes, you just feel this love coming from a deer. And they're not like the strongest, but they have a big heart. And the way they are with their families, they show a sharing. They don't take everything. Like if you see how they are, they have one sentry watching over while the others are eating. And if there's plenty of food there, they move on and leave for the next. And they run the same rounds every day. So they do their work in a circle, and they know that there are other relatives coming behind them. And they are the source of all medicine. Grandmothers, grandfathers, grandparents of the West, this is the place where the bear lives. And the bear teaches us again about community. Recently, Grizzly 399 touched many humans, and she found a way to use humans to shield her babies at Yellowstone because it was easier to keep her babies safe from humans, present there who were actually honoring that, her presence, who lived to be like over 28 years old and had many babies. And she was hit by a motorist. They actually brought her remains back to Yellowstone, and she will have a place of honor for all the joy that she brought human beings, as well as all the babies she brought into the world. So she has one baby now that is left, but she was tagged, so they could follow her, and they saw how she took care of her baby. So in the West direction, it's about how we take care of our children, how we take care of our community. And then this is where the bear lives, and we can ask for you think of the bear, it's big, it's vegetarian, it's really pretty, it's not a violent animal at all, really. And the only time they get really fierce is when their babies are, threatened. So then they become fierce mamas, like we all would be. Grandmothers, grandfathers, grandparents of the North, this is the place where the turtle lives, and this is the place where all of our ancestors are with us here today. And they're looking at where we are right now in terms of the history of the United States and how the United States is viewing migration
and how it's going to be pertinent to our conversation today. So we send our thoughts to Gemini Doe, Creator, Allah, however you choose to, call the one who sees all of it, who is all of it, is all gendered, all things, the source of all being, looking down at us and saying, wow, you got a lot of work to do, and we're here for you, and be there for each other. And Mother Earth, she'd be fine. She'd be healing. Mother Earth, with all the things going on and the likely, all the bombings that are going on that are hurting Mother Earth, and you think about, she didn't consent to any of these things, but she's being bombed, and then she's being polluted, and she's really being treated with such massive disrespect. But she knows her power, and she will rise like Phoenix out of the ashes, and she will shake all upon her to heal, because there are a lot of ways to heal. We see it happening: the earthquakes, the floods, the fires, and the hurricanes. So we send our thoughts out that all of these elementals come in balance when we come in balance, so that there doesn't need to be such violent upheaval in the weather patterns. So we send our thoughts out. So today we honor Mother Earth, and then today we can maybe start with checking in on where we are after seeing the film, where we are after the election. And today we're going to be talking about Indigenous Day and what it means here in this community, and what it means here in Revere, and what it means for all the communities who live in Revere, who represent just about every community in the world lives here in Revere. It's a very diverse place, so just what's on our hearts. So I'm going to pass to you, Kuru. We got 2 talking pieces.
Thank you, Grandmother Strong Oak, and thank you so much for traveling all the way here. It takes 2.5 hours to get here one way, 3 hours, and I don't know what to say. It takes kindness and generosity. That's all I say. It's the love and it's the heart that bring you here. How am I doing today? I have so many mixed emotions. I'm going through different waves after the election, and also Commissioner Samaya reminded me that one thing at a time. So I want to be fully present here, that there is an opportunity for us after watching the film, that we had the opportunity and privilege to be together for one day, hosted by Grandmother Strong Oak and also Gail. I'm reminded that we need to do more work. Our journey, we have a long journey to go.
Good evening, my name is Noor, and I would like to thank everyone for being here today. And I would like to thank Dr. Garcia for inviting me here today. And I'm really grateful to be here. And I believe that after going on that Indigenous Peoples field trip and visiting all those Indigenous sites and watching the documentary, we're always going to look at our past. We're always going to blame others or ourselves, but we always have to be responsible. We'll always look back at the past, but we cannot prevent that from us moving forward. We always have to strive so we can make sure we create an inclusive environment. And we should always do that together, because that's when our voices are heard the most. So thank you.
So, thank you. That's wonderful, well stated. So, just thinking about the experience that we all had traveling together to Plymouth, just to experience the land that once officially belonged to the natives, but then, were grabbed by those who certainly came here and thought that they are the champions of the world. Let's put it that way. So it's certainly just being there, watching everyone, watching each one of you, talking and see the way you express yourself and the behavior you manifested in that particular, on that particular, site. It was just an amazing experience. It started here in Revere. We went to a lunch, or a breakfast in the morning, building the collegiality. I really felt that we're part of one team and part of one group that is really committed to change what has been done in the past and continue to reflect on ways in which we can continue to educate people in Revere, our students, current generations. Just take a look at the wonderful documentary that we put together. This is a document that probably will serve as a strong foundation we set that many people probably will use to, if they really want to, certainly the intention needs to be there, just to reflect upon the experience, reflect upon the commitment that this group has expressed, why we went there. We could have been probably at our workplace, but we decided to go there, explore it, understand, because sharing knowledge of a place like that with others is critical. So that's the piece that really I'm very excited about, and I think we should do more of those type of things moving forward. So that's the piece, the educational piece. As far as the election goes, certainly there's a lot of things to talk about. And I don't want to start hypothesizing or talking about these or next, this step and next steps and so on. I don't want to do that. I don't think I'm in the right mindset to do it now. But what I can tell you is that this is the time that we need to continue to capitalize on and never give up, double down on our efforts. If there's one thing, our mission and vision needs to be reinforced in such a way that we continue to really educate people. This is not time to give up or believe that this is the end of the world. Actually, this reaffirms our belief system, where we really think about what's going on in our country and work together to uplift those whose voices have been overshadowed for many, many years and continue to fight. So I don't have anything else to add. I think it's too early to draw any conclusion or to start hypothesizing things. So I want to reflect on what happened, work with you, all of you, and my colleagues on this journey of transformation. That because certainly we have a lot of work ahead of us, but I don't have any suggestions or ideas to provide at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Once again, I would like to echo what everyone has said so far, which is thank you very much, Strongbow, for coming once again to our meeting, and thank you for everyone who had participated in our trip to Plymouth. I've never been there. I mean, I've been to the museum before, but I've never been to that exhibit specifically, so I'm glad that I did this time, and which just shows how much our education system just doesn't like talking about the Native Americans. And I'm glad that, Mr. Noor has joined us on today's meeting as well, so I'm glad that he came here today. And I'm really excited to see how we debrief around what we experienced then and how that ultimately does tie into everything that's gone on with the election. I agree with Dr. Garcia about, it's really too early to really draw any conclusions, but the thing is, it just shows why we implement circle practice at a very municipal level, and why it should be implemented on a very national level, because even in the beginning of our democracy, the first president mentioned to never choose sides or ultimately divide the country, and that's where we are now, a divided country. And there have been multiple times since the reestablishment of the Human Rights Commission where we've all disagreed on things, but because we were doing it in such a way that we know how to be cordial with each other, we ultimately came to a conclusion, and we had results. And I think that's exactly what this country needs, is just one big circle to talk about all of our issues, because we just don't want to talk to each other about anything. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm really excited to where the circle is going to take us. Thank you.
Ed Terrell again. I have some information for the commission, if it's okay to present. I'll do that in a second. But I do want to talk about the election a little bit. As most of you know, I've been reporting on things that have been happening in the city for quite a while now. And about 4 years ago, not unlike the Native Americans, I was targeted. I was tried to be silenced by certain people, especially those that work at this building. They came at me pretty hard, and it was a collective effort. And it was hurtful, and I lost a lot of friends. So I was going to vote for Kamala, but I found out that the people who say a lot, their actions and their words don't exactly line up. So I voted for Trump. And I did so with the knowledge that my justice would be that the people who targeted me would also now be targeted, and that would be my justice. That's cruel, but the hardship that people put me through was terrible. So that's how it is. I would hope that we could all get along and be peaceful, but sometimes you have to be a warrior. And that's really hard to do. So now that that's over, there's been some scanner traffic that I'd like to share with you.
So I'm just going to talk, we're going to have time for the open forum, for the things that aren't on the agenda. You can definitely speak about them then.
May I just submit them?
Yeah, you can keep them with you until I mention that we're going to have an open forum.
Okay.
So we could finish with the circle, just so you have ample time to talk about what you want to talk about, okay?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. In speaking about the documentary, thank you so much to the school department and John and Grandmother Strong Oak for creating that. What a momentous thing that we've done for Revere. I hope that this will be a trend for future generations and for future years to come. I, as a student of history, self-proclaimed, enjoy learning about things that I was never taught, learning from people who have passed through their generations and their means of safekeeping stories, knowledge that I've never been privy to. As an immigration attorney, I am grateful to be in this circle after the election because immigration is such a political issue in this country. And this is the only space where the irony seems to be ever present when I look at the people in the circle around me, that we are still acknowledging this stolen land that we are mishandling as we regulate the migration of Native individuals in the 21st century. And my job is a very heavy burden, but some of us do have to be warriors. So I'm happy to be in the fight with you all and in this circle.
Thank you. I'll be saving, I guess, my thoughts about Tuesday and its results until we do the open forum, because I have more of like a statement, I guess, to give when we're about to close. And I'll just spend my allotted time like speaking on celebrating everything that we've done in this past month and this documentary
and spending time with Grandmother Strong Oak even before that with our circle training, because all of that has, in my mind, like just been the greatest culmination of what I think we have needed as a Human Rights Commission, just to like set the tone for all of the work that we want to do and that we have shared that we want to pursue. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Garcia, and John isn't here, but thank you so much if you see this later, for really just even having a record of what we did, because I hope that that will stand to be a powerful thing that inspires other people in this city and just other people who look at what we do and understand that like we're not just people who gather around in a circle once every month to like just talk and say grandiose, grandstanding things and not actually do things. So thank you so much for doing that and taking the time to do that so carefully. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things from that documentary that even watching it back, it was kind of a little bit of like a bittersweet reminder. One was Grandmother Strong Oak had mentioned something about how like even in the way that we were greeted when we first arrived upon Plymouth and the museum. I don't want to get bogged down in the details, but it definitely continues to transcend that colonial legacy of like feeling entitled to a space that they really should not feel entitled to. And that was really heartbreaking to have to witness both when we were greeted as well as when we went further into experiencing the museum and trying to learn and take it all in. From what I recall from my first visit back in 8th grade, which was, I'm aging myself a little, but like 10 years ago, it was a very shockingly different experience in a lot of ways. And I hope that not only us, but I hope that maybe a lot of things will change outside of just Revere, including the way that museum curators and museum attendants and just everybody involved in like recording and protecting and safeguarding like cultural and historical legacies and stuff are just taking all of that into mind. And even us as visitors, I hope that we can have more continued like honest conversations that we did this past visit and doing those powerful reflections, because I think that those are important. And there was something else from the documentary that I wanted to highlight, but I'm not recalling at the moment. I just wanted to also highlight again or re-emphasize something that I had stated in the documentary, which was getting to spend a lot of time not just in Plymouth, but in the Tidmarsh Sanctuary was really bringing me back in my mind to a conversation that we had last year, the first time that we did Circle, when I had attended as just a Revere resident. I wasn't yet a commissioner. And we were discussing a little bit about like Columbus Day and what it means and such. And I had brought up the fact that, independent of Columbus Day and whether or not that should be something that we celebrate or whatever, that there are other similar symbols of white supremacy or reminders of white supremacy in our city that also likewise need to be addressed and discussed, including the fact that like Revere prides itself and sells itself on being America's first public beach, which is a very Eurocentric view of Revere. And as a city, I hope that we can move towards being more, thinking more sensitively about how that's just a very Eurocentric view of history. And the reality is it was public land beforehand. And it's only been made public again post-colonialism. So, yeah. And then I want to just thank you all again. Thank you today for coming. It's great to see familiar faces. And yeah, I'm going to pass to Irby. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandmother Oaks. I think you deserve a totally like kind of a standing motivation like kind of for you to drive like kind of 3 hours to come and then to be part of like kind of this meeting, this circle. You will not find someone like kind of will come drive like kind of 3 hours because you're determined, like kind of you love what you're doing, you like what you're doing. I think you love the work, like kind of you see that the commissioner doing, and then you want to see how you can probably help us, like kind of do something. I really, really appreciate that, you know, from the bottom of my heart, like kind of say thank you to you for taking the time, like kind of, and then as I say that on my documentary, we need people like you. We will not find those people like you, and then we need to continue, like kind of, especially like Noah, like kind of young men like this, like kind of to make sure, like kind of to see the kind of service, like kind of you providing, like kind of to the community, and then like kind of to see, like kind of how we can get young people to get more involved. That said, I've been to Plymouth, like kind of for many time. I worked for the union for over 25 years. You know, I bargain contract. We have like kind of nursing home in Plymouth that I go bargain contract with our members. We have tons of members. We live in Plymouth. I never know that side until like kind of you invite me, like kind of to be part to go in that you know, a field trip. And then for whomever, like kind of Shamaya, the chair, like kind of Dr. Garcia, I believe like kind of go, like kind of you're part of, like kind of get like kind of the this visit, you know, like kind of schedule, like kind of to do the field trip. I think, you know, all of you guys, like kind of, I say thank you to you guys, like kind of for taking the time, like kind of to do it. I'm not a big history guy. I'm more like kind of because I read a lot, but I'm more like kind of focused on some other stuff, like kind of. But I'm glad I was able, like kind of, to go to visit a land, like kind of a native land, like kind of Native American land, like kind of where people used to live. All that said, like kind of, I think myself coming from this country, that was a great experience for me when John did, like kind of, especially documentary, like kind of, that's gonna be some kind of memory for us, for our kids, for our grandkids, like kind of to see like kind of what we have accomplished as a commissioner. Because like kind of, I think, I don't know if it's like kind of Shamaya or Dr. Garcia say that, I think, you know, as a commissioner, like kind of, we need to set some example for all the, like kind of, commission, you know, part of the city. So like kind of, we're not doing just like kind of sitting, like kind of behind, you know, the decks, like kind of the podium, like kind of see our name, like I know we go in the field, we do the work, like kind of, that's gonna improve, like kind of, people like that, people gonna see what like kind of commission is supposed to do. Because one more thing I will say, when they recruited me, like kind of, to be part of the Human Rights, you know, Commission, I was like kind of, I said, let me think about it, because like kind of, I been part of like kind of for the union. I live in River for 21 years. I never like kind of participate like kind of any community work, like kind of, because I was concentrate like kind of to do the work for the union. But 5 years ago, I decided like kind of to get involved, like kind of more, like kind of to say, if I live in the city, I need to get involved more on the river. But when you look at like kind of what's going on, the Human Rights Commission is the most important commission. When you're talking about the commission that's going to defend the right of people, like kind of, in river. So that was part of it, like kind of make me excited, like kind of to be part of it. I said, look, it's something I need to come in. And by being like kind of part of the commission, the group of people, like kind of, I'm surrounded, like kind of, I'm very pleased. I see like kind of, you guys, like kind of, I feel like kind of, you're part of a family, like kind of, you're part of like kind of a group that we can all of us, you know, can trust, like kind of, we can do some work together, how we can improve like kind of the city, how we can improve like kind of, you know, our family, people like kind of live in the city. So I just want to close like kind of by coming, thanks for coming again, like kind of to be part of like kind of a a member, like kind of someone like kind of that come to be part of like kind of this meeting. I think, you know, one thing I will admire by you saying like kind of I like to see be like kind of someone honest, like kind of you're not like kind of by saying like kind of you vote for Trump, no one like kind of will come and say vote for Trump. That's something like kind of I admire you honest and you say like kind of upfront like kind of. But some other people will not say that. And then this is the kind of stuff like kind of we get Trump elected because they're kind of with 50% because some people we have a lot of hypocrites. You see people around you, but they never tell you who they're gonna vote for until like kind of things happen. You know, like kind of, hey, how this guy become president? But you know, and I will save the time like kind of when we start talking like kind of maybe I can say more about like kind of the vote because I have a lot to say, but I don't think I will have enough time to say about the election. Thank you for your time again, like kind of the government.
Thank you. When we went to that day, I remember I was like kind of pushing us to like move on to the Tidmarsh land. One of the regrets what we have is that it was, you know, we were losing light, and so you didn't get to experience the fullness of Tidmarsh. We would have had to go near where the ropes are. You would have seen the animals. They're incredible, but they were too far from us to see them. My first visit to Tidmarsh was blown away by the animals, the whales and the different animals, the hawks, and it was very pronounced that they were in the stones, and like was really a really amazing example of how spirit and the land were together like that. And we spent a lot of time in the other place, and I was aware of how those folks are really into being those blue bloods. Like they wanted to, you know, hang on to the old way of St. Plymouth. I could see how they took the better spaces to the water. I could see how they didn't bother to respect the people who lived there in the winter and saw how the Weetus were built so that those Weetus that were so warm inside that they needed very little wood to keep that very warm, and that they, you know, were there for fall and winter, and it would be 85 in there and 45 out there. And I knew that the housing that they were building, the colonists that came, were not going to keep them so warm like that. So, but if you ask, you say you live here, so you know how to cook the food here, how to be with the food here, and how to have a warm house. It was probably incredulous if you think that they left that dwelling, they left it all behind, and they went off and never to return to it for 45 years. Meant that there was trust, that it would be there when they got back. Like how many people can say that about their housing, that it would be there when you got back. So when I looked at this, you know, and then I look at Tidmarsh, what I felt, and hope you felt it too, was you could forget that any of this happened when you were on that land. You could feel it healing and coming back to what it once was. It showed like how if you put a man-made thing, you impact the entire ecosystem. Like so where you build matters. Like the fact that the heron are now moving is because they took out the man-made pond. That's what they did. They took out the pond, they took out things, and really, like indigenous people feel if you do that, the land will heal and return to where it was. So so it was like kind of sad to me to see all those mansions along the road and how it's become really a tourist trap. And then to find out that they're the one place that won't acknowledge the land acknowledgement. I was stunned when Gail shared that. And not surprised, but really almost, I don't know of any other place that would do that, where they wouldn't acknowledge those who were here. And when I look at that, okay, after the election, when I watched everything. I watched both conventions, Republican and Democrat. I watched what was said. I listened to those rallies. I heard people being called rapists. I heard people, the other candidate being referred to as a bitch, that her name couldn't even be pronounced correctly, and that she couldn't string two words together. What I heard was this man was talking to people who don't like women. 41% said that women have too many rights. They don't want women to have rights. They can't define their maleness without being supreme. And he spoke to that. He spoke about racism. He spoke about talking about immigrants like they were the lowest of the low. He talked about he was going to take vengeance against his enemies. So when you said this, I'm thinking, I wasn't here to hurt anybody. I always sit in circle. And I feel really bad about what you went through. But I didn't do that. But now, because of this election, you say you don't know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. I know right away what's going to happen. They got the whole Senate, the House, and the whole thing. I won't have to listen to anyone. I remember what happened in 2016. I remember this person did not do any conventional thing. He brought nepotism into the White House. He brought his whole family into the White House. He began to put children in cages at the border. He told people to drink bleach. He's responsible for countless deaths. He was responsible for the economy that this poor administration had to fix, and did. And inflation is going down, but things take a while to fix. So I feel really upset because I feel just like people don't know our history. I don't think people know what the hell's going on. What I see, all right, when the first time he got elected, I know friends of mine who couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. These were the survivors. These were the women who were now told it was okay to rape them, that we actually elected a rapist. We actually have 2 people on the Supreme Court who people said hurt them sexually. They were not believed. Think about all the children who are being harmed. Think about all the women who have been sexually assaulted. In my community, a lot. Myself, I've been hurt. I have multiple people who have raped me, and I'm like all my sisters who are indigenous have had those experiences, and so no, it's not. I know what we got. I know women are going to die. They're already dying. I know that he's going to try and get it so no one. They're going to try and do a federal mandate. I know that it's Vance who's going to run this table here. I know that the 2025, I've looked at it. I know what they're going to do. And what they're going to do is they're going to deport. And they're going to make camps because they know how to do it. They have nothing in the way of keeping that from happening. However, when we sit like this, it's you. You give me the hope. Because you are what we have to do. Your parents and what they did and what they taught you, this is what we need to teach. We are responsible for this mess. We live in a country that could genocide out a group of people, who could force people in boats to come here against their will and not take any accountability for that. Black and indigenous people here are going to pay dearly. And me, as a Two-Spirit, my wife and I, we got some protections right now because of what was done in the Supreme Court so that we could protect our property. That our marriage would mean that if one of us crossed the other one, we get the higher Social Security. There's economic consequence. We're next on the chopping block. Clarence Thomas said that. After Roe v. Wade, they want to go after us. So, no, this is no joke to me. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. And I think that we got a lot of work to do the day after the election, I was in so much grief that I couldn't believe people were running around in their cars. I said it was like a funeral for me. It was like, it's going to be a funeral for a lot of people I know. And you know what? I think we're going to lose the rest of our land. I think he's going to come and take it all. I think there's nothing in the way now. It's oligarchs. Look at it. Elon Musk in the White House. Someone in charge of the health department that doesn't believe in vaccinations. Yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, I know what's going to happen, and I need to be ready. I know it's going to be worse than I even could imagine. I had a big dream Monday. I thought it meant that he wasn't going to get in. What I dreamt was there was a big plane, and it was shaped like a plane, but it was all like really dark cloud, like a plane. And it got and hovered. I wasn't afraid. I was just watching it. It came and hovered right on our land where I live. And then all of a sudden the head of the cockpit turned, and it became like an animal head, like a snake. It looked right at me. And then it started going back where it came from, but it started to dissipate over the trees. So I thought this meant that it was going to be close. We might not know for days, but that she would pull it out. And I am sad that it even was this close. I mean, we've lost our democracy now. It's gone. That's what I was seeing such grief over that. Because as pitiful even as that is, it's now it's in complete autocracy now. Ukraine gone, Poland next, Gaza gone. There's not going to be any help for those folks. Iran too. This is a bad mess. So that's where I'm at. And I had a hard time. I said, are you still meeting today? Because I didn't know how. I wondered if you'd all be in grief like me. And maybe this is too much to even talk about. But I just want you to know that I am pretty up on the structure and pretty up on politics because I've just had to be. And when I see your town here, you have no idea how it makes me feel so good to see you here. And then for any young people like you, and for people who are going to go the resistance, because some of us are going to lose our life over this. Some of us are going to have to do, I got one more thing to say and then we'll move on to, because what we're talking about is deep indigenous stuff here. Oh my God. I'm kind of scared. But I'm not operating from there because I would be willing to die for these things. I would be someone to go across the Pettus Bridge. People 65 and over, we all went overwhelmingly for Kamala because we had to fight for this stuff. We're the ones that had to get reproductive rights. We're the ones that had to say a man couldn't rape his wife and that was okay. We're the ones that had to say dating someone didn't give you authority to rape them and take what you want. And now they're telling little kids, if you get pregnant by your own father, you have to carry that child, all that to make sure you got a white baby born, because that's what it is. They're afraid that there won't be enough white bodies, so they're making even children bear the babies. I mean, that's as crass as it is. That's what it is. I mean, you think about this. Why would anybody want someone to carry to term a baby, and at the same time, they continue to keep people of color from having babies? And they talk about going back to when you can't, they want to go back to when you can't have intermarriages anymore. They've all discussed this stuff. It's all been put out there. He said it in his rallies, pure white races. That's what they want. So here I am here, we're here. And we're living in this really diverse city, and a lot of the people in your city, they don't know the structure. If you immigrate here, you may not know the structure because it's not where you came from, and that's not the structure that you're in. You know, it takes a while to catch on to what this structure was meant to do. And clearly, it's to keep, you know, white male supremacy in place. So, but anyway, so I think it's important that when you go forward that maybe people have conversations about structure, history, understand, you know, what went into the Constitution, understand that people were seen as 2/3 of a person for economic reasons, understand that amendments had to be added to it. And then now you had someone in the presidency who doesn't want to go with the Constitution. He may try to throw it out. And everybody may vote right in with him, you know. And I don't know if they can stop him because the Supreme Court won't stop him. And now they gave immunity that you could commit a crime if you're the president without being accountable. So, I mean, humorously, what I thought is Biden should retire, and therefore Kamala Harris could be the first woman president. And then she could say and do with immunity some of the things that may be that I wish it would happen. It's not going to happen because nobody in the other party has ever done anything like that. They've always done peaceful transfer of power. People voted for somebody who did a coup on the White House. That man couldn't stand to lose. I hope that's not a value. I don't think your parents taught you that you could name call people. If you lose an election, you should say that it wasn't fairly won, that you should raid the school and start acting like you're going to take over all the power, and you're going to, you know, try to get votes that didn't exist, and you're going to force people to go to court over and over and over again to prove that you had these votes you didn't have. You know, I mean, no other person that I know of has ever done a thing like that. And that's who we got now. So I'm sorry. I didn't vote for it, but I'm sorry for that you got a mess now. I'll be here for you. You ask me, I come. And all of the industry people I know, they go farther than I drove. To here 3 hours, Mary Ellen Baker, who's one of my amazing people who was at the, you know, comes here to the state. She's a clan mother with the Lakota Ray in Wisconsin. She would drive all the way from Wisconsin to Florida because her daughter's best friend died. She got in her car, she's 83 years old, and just drove down there. So my 3 hours, nothing, okay? So I'm going to end here, but I want you to know I'm feeling really bad about this election. I feel grieved by it. I feel sad that we have so many people that hate women like this, that what are they saying to their daughters? I feel bad for the Mother Earth because nobody's going to check them. The pollution is just going to, you know, it's just going to, all the checks and balances, all the green, the work that's been done, all done now. Oil, oil, oil. That's what it is. So I'll stop. I could just cry all the rest of the time, but I'll keep my Kleenex.
Thank you, grandmother, for your insight, your wisdom. The struggle is real, and the struggle is real for BIPOC community, for indigenous, Black, people of color, regardless how you slice it. I am worried for the survivor that we serve, mostly women and children, and also LGBTQ survivors, men who are survivors of domestic violence and rape, and children who might not have all the resources that they need. And they will not find a safe place to go. So that has been the worries that the staff at Habakkuk has been talking about. The resources is already scarce, and it's going to add more. Scarcity and pressure, there will be more violence. And yet, despite of what's going on in the world, I trust a community. A lot of work that have been done, a lot of support that has been given is given by the community, by my neighbor, by the people sitting around here, and the community as a whole. So I trust that we'll come together. I trust that the community will share resources. And what's going to happen is real, and I do not want to ignore it. I want to be prepared. Because I'm not, and I'm speaking from being a South Asian woman. I'm not even speaking from people who is in the margin of the margin, like Black community, Indigenous community, the people who don't have the privilege, unearned, don't have the privilege like, others.
And I agree with you. I think we should be prepared, and we just must be ready for the future. And we should always work hard and persevere and have resilience. That's very important. We must never give up, and we must always work to strive for a better future. So no matter what hardships we face, or what hard things that come in our way, or what obstacles that come, I believe everything happens for a reason. So what we must do is we must endure through, and we have to work hard together. Thank you.
For me, I'll be brief. I think one of the things that characterizes the Human Rights Commission is the fact that it is an organization by design to really watch what's going on in our community, in our society, and what's going on with those whose voices have been historically down, to advocate for them. The Human Rights Commission, by definition, is a watchdog organization. So that's our job. And it really, when Grandmother Strong Oak was describing her experience and the experience of many other indigenous people who have gone through awful times, that were subject to sexual exploitation and raping and many awful practices that took place, it really, it touched me profoundly. I knew that. I read it from textbooks, but one thing is when you read information, the other thing is to endure it yourself. So there's nothing that compares to that. So certainly, I think, and it's a suggestion I'm going to make here, because of the time constraints, we don't have much time to really go deeper into the causes and effects or consequence of this election. I think I'm going to, challenge the team maybe to schedule a 2-hour conversation about the post-election, what's coming. Here we are talking about the Agenda 2025. If, in fact, that agenda materializes the way it has been conceived, I've been reading about it, we have a country that basically is going to be we can equate it with an autocracy. So that's what it is. And we know, I have to dig more into the information I read, but that what appears, because a lot of restructuring that will be taking place, starting with, the replacement of a lot of restructuring in education, a lot of restructuring in the way the government runs, the structures. There's a lot of restructuring in terms of even eliminating the Secretary of Education and put all the powers in the hands of the states. A lot of, the whole DEI effort will go away. This is all outlined in the Agenda 2025. So the whole, racial critical theory, it's another thing that's probably will go down the tubes. All the progress that we have made probably will be targeted. So I want you to do a little bit more research and do some reading into it, because I'm not sure if that is what, what's going to happen, but if you read the document, that's what you're going to find. So I think we have community-based organizations, we have school leaders, we have students with us, we have strong, grandmother Strong Oak that has been a lot of work in terms of structural racism and systems and of racism, and the way the structure impacts people of color and indigenous people and people from other intersectionalities and so on and so forth. So I think we have an opportunity here to put our heads together to really debunk and see what, first, we need to analyze what's happening, what really was being, happened. Then we need to do an analysis and then outline a plan moving forward in terms of what will be our responsibilities and roles in the city of Revere in light of what has come up, what is emerging from the field. We have, and that can only be done through a session that we can have where we can come much more prepared with ideas and design a plan for the future. Because one thing that really we need to do is to be always proactive. What we're going to do? The climate will be different. The situation will be different. You hear about the massive deportations that are going to take place. That's his plan. That Donald Trump's plan. That he said it clearly. That is going to take place. So there's a lot of things to think about. We don't have time to really discuss it now. I suggest that we plan it and do it.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. I think the silver lining is, if there is even one, is that it gives us more of a reason why we should continue doing our work. Because the minute we stop and give in to the way that things are, we're just being as compliant and conformative to the state of our country, and that's not what we were made to do. The whole point was to go against the status quo and really challenge these structures that are in place. So time is indeed of the essence. We just have to keep on going with the things that we're doing and never stop and grow even more. Because this is what our country needs at the moment. It might seem futile at first, but even the smallest of decisions, smallest of actions can lead to a bigger cause, and lead to a bigger effect. I think, speaking from like a Muslim perspective here, our religion started as a way of going against the status quo, and the same thing that was told to the prophet at the time is the same thing I'm telling everyone here. Is like, the minute that we stop is the minute that we're just like them and that we're letting them win. So I think, I know I sound somewhat optimistic, but this is like the reality of it all. Is like, we have to not make ourselves give up and just keep on going, because the minute we give up, we are just like them. So that's all I have to say.
I just would like to preface what I said earlier. A lot of people, they may not be aware, but I'm a gay man. That took a long time to say. When I was 14, I was chased down my street with a tire iron because I was starting to realize who I was and started to be a little bit more open. To this day, I still have nightmares about that experience. Took me a long time to be honest with myself. For some crazy reason, I started to report on the problems in the city. People didn't like that very much. But they did for a while. Like I said, I was targeted. People tried to silence me. It got so bad there were huge stones in front of our house that we had to move into the backyard. Someone claimed that I wasn't safe around children. It got really, really bad, and it would involve people who work in this building and people who work in nonprofits in this, connected to this building. I have the proof. That being said, I always thought myself as a kind, generous person. Always wanted to be. But the hypocrisy and the nastiness that has come out of this building has just been unreal in the last 4 years. Not necessarily anybody sitting here. We have had a superintendent of schools share an anti-Semitic resource that made national news and nothing has happened. The former DEI of Revere was seen with a hit list, a gun, and a noose. Nothing happened. Quiet resignation. There's been multiple other issues, including some of them I have here in the last month. Revere is a machine. I've lived here 57 years. I know how it works. We have a high school building committee, largely of white people, in a minority-majority school district. Nothing is said. It only happens when the system or the machine is challenged. So that being said, I challenge the commission to challenge the system, to speak out against it and promote real change. It is not enough to sit here at a circle and talk about Columbus and all these other things which are really important, but there's a lot of heavy lifting that needs to be done. In the last month, I've documented a couple of things for you to help you out. November 3rd, on Haskell Avenue, there was a neighbor argument. One neighbor made racial statements against another. September 30th, 2024, on Alden Ave, there was vandalism and words were written, spray painted on the property that were apparently racist. October 16th, 2024, at Walgreens, racist graffiti was sprayed on the fence. May I make that part of the... Thank you. Here's a picture of it. It was blotted out by the author. Thank you. The word starts with N and R. I'm sure you can fill out the rest. Here it is for all of you to see. Fortunately, the ugly word was erased.
I'm sorry, just for clarity, are you referring to the N slur?
The N slur. Here it is. It was blacked out by the author just because people would be so offended of it. I challenge you to look at these things. Talk with Chief Callahan. I hear it all the time. Please, as a gay man, your work is essential. It is not enough for you to go down to Plymouth, and those things are important, but there is a lot more to do. I really, really just urge you, with the information I've given you, talk to Chief Callahan, talk to Mayor Keefe. There's a lot of pain and there's a lot of anger in this city. People have been suppressed in this city for a very long time. In the Revere Journal, 30, 40 years ago, a city councilor said that land has to be developed in the city or else it would be only good for blacks. Take a look around. Look at the people hanging on the wall. They're all white. They're mostly all men. And some of them, if you do a little digging, did very questionable things. And some of them may have even been involved in slavery. Now, no one wants to talk about this, but I will, because I guess I'm going to be the brave one. So in closing, I just ask you to really do some heavy lifting. A lot of people are going to be angry with you, but that means you're doing the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Terrell. I appreciate calling people in to do the work with us, and we as a commission will always hear the words of the residents of Revere calling the mayor and the chief of police to join us in this work. I second that. Mayor Keefe, Chief Callahan, we'd love for you to join us in this work for the issues that Mr. Terrell just brought up. I want to use my very limited time to just name that the majority of white people, white women and white men, were the cause of electing Trump. And as I sit here as one of the only white people in this circle, I want to call in the allies that are outraged and feel that they don't know what to do, feel that they want to do more and support their communities, to do this work, to raise your voice, to be brave, to call attention to other people that have harm being done to them, so that we can be joined by the things that bring us together instead of divided by the things that keep trying to separate us. I want to use and elevate and acknowledge people with privilege to do good in our community and to step forward and look around us, come into the light, bring others, especially white men of power in this community, with you, so that we can all do this work together.
Thank you so much. Oh, we're not doing like a separate public forum? Sure, I'll make that like the last thing that I close with before I pass on to Irby. I want to start by saying, acknowledging everybody's honesty and rawness that you brought to the circle today, but in particular, Grandmother Strong Oak, thank you so much. And our fellow Revere resident, Ed, for sharing particularly what I imagine just were very horrific memories, because you didn't have to share, but thank you nevertheless for sharing, not just in this circle, but with basically the whole city and whoever chooses to watch this. I think that your stories, especially as people who are older than me, who have seen so many other things, not just in Revere, but, you know, in this country, like those are very important stories that we need to be able to remember, like how important it is for us to continue to fight, because people like you, our elders, have fought for their ability to be who they are. So thank you so much for that rawness. I want to take a moment to apologize to Grandmother Strong Oak. I feel terrible that the first time that we were going around I did not address this, but maybe you did not mean to say this, but when you likened being targeted to the genocide of Native American people, I'm sorry that you had to hear that, and I'm sorry that when I had the opportunity to speak that I didn't address that. I should have addressed it sooner. I'm sure that you understand, but just for anyone else who is watching, I just want to be entirely clear that that is not something that, those are likening something like being targeted, which can be a horrific and I can imagine traumatizing experience, is not comparable to the greatest genocide in world history. It is simply not. And I want to make that clear, and I'm sorry that you had to hear that. Yeah, and I also want to just state for anyone who in the future may want to join our circle, we are obviously open to welcoming anyone in here. But as a reminder that with radical honesty that we have all practiced here today comes radical accountability. And so if you want to participate in this circle, just keep in mind that you're not just coming in here to be able to just say whatever you will and harm people, that to participate and sit in circle is to expect and be willing to accept accountability for things. And that is how I myself feel personally as well. Like when I show up here, I expect to be able to take some sort of accountability for things as well, not just be able to say happy nonsense for the sake of creating community. I guess just to address what appears to be a hate crime, I think we definitely need to be in contact. That should actually be information that should be, if it hasn't already, been directed to the police department. Okay, wonderful. We can definitely speak at our next meeting about what we can do about it, but we definitely need more information, including like who the victims are, if they're willing to come forward, how willing they are, if they're willing to press charges. Also, I think you mentioned that it's Walgreens. I'm interested to know if that company has just decided to like let that go or not. So all that information is definitely stuff that we need to know before we move forward with anything. But thank you so much for bringing light to that. And I also want to just highlight that I'm sure you already know this because you report on this type of stuff in Revere all the time, but this is not the first what appears to be a hate crime of its kind in Revere. Beyond the examples that you gave, just a couple of years ago, I think 2020, someone decided that they wanted to spray paint a swastika, and I think they spray painted white power or something on the side of the road of a Moroccan family's car. So it's unfortunate this is not the first of its kind, but this time around we have a Human Rights Commission. Back then we did not, and and just as my final closing thing, the thing that I was going to save for when we do like an open public forum, I was just going to say, like all of you, I have so many fears about what is to come, but I want to say this not just to my fellow commissioners, but to anyone who is watching, and particularly anyone who feels emboldened because we have a democratically elected dictator back in office, that this time is not going to be like 8 years ago. At least not in Revere. 8 years ago, we didn't have a Human Rights Commission. We didn't. We didn't. And so much has changed in the past 4 years. And just because he's come back does not mean that things are going to go back the way that they were. And so for anyone who felt like it was okay 4 years ago to do stuff like that, or who thought earlier this month that that was acceptable, things are not going back. They're not. If you are a person in power in this city and you felt that it was okay and acceptable to refer to Black and brown people in this city as cockroaches in 2017, don't think that you're going to be able to get away with that this time. Because this time I'm here, and I'm not a child. I'm a human rights commissioner. And I'm here not only to speak for the rest of the city, but also to protect my fellow commissioners. So if anyone else also wants to show up to our Human Rights Commission monthly meetings and share some of the abusive things that they have in the past, this time it's different. I'm here, and I got time. Thank you.
Thank you. As I think we should be in like kind of at 7, so I will not say anything more. Thank you, Mother Oaks, for coming in, and then thank you, Ed, for being participating in this meeting. Again, thank you very much.
The one thing I would say is with the incident you had, I said, thinking about getting all the people that were involved, who witnessed, who are all unsafe because of those actions, to sit in a circle and talk about what they're going to do about it and take action. Because I think I love this particular Human Rights Commission. I think this is a do something group, and I think maybe you feel that now, because like she said, it's like it's not going to fly without people coming forward and saying that, and we don't have that hate in our town. in our city. We're not going to have it. And like, I think the plan is for having circles in the community and like having things where people feel safe to come in. Like I felt safe to share, you felt safe to share. If these circles make things safe to say, and then an action can come out, and then you got a community that's taken responsibility for helping each other. That's where it's at. So that's, I thought this was a great circle today. And, I will come anytime that you want me to come, because I kind of love all of you now. I'm in relation with you. And, this is nothing to drive over here when I see what's going to happen. And the young people on this committee, the balance of generations on this committee is really incredibly important. And like the young person coming here from the schools, and then seeing other young people too, not too far from where you were. They're still young. In my mind, I'm a little ancient, I'm a grandma. So anyway, I guess maybe if we had a one-word checkout that we would say, like myself, we would say we were energized. And maybe that one thing we can do before we get thrown out.
Hopeful.
Productive.
Reflective.
Man, I don't know words. I have so many words. I'm ready.
You took my word.
Welcoming.
Motivated. I'm going to say it again. Ready. I am ready.
You took my word. Just participation.
And so our circle is done for today.
Thank you.
Before we end up the meeting, I would like to just say that regardless of what happened on Tuesday, where's the camera? Okay. Whatever happened on Tuesday, whatever the results were, I'm gonna speak on the behalf of the Human Rights Commission. We do not condone any violence. That's not what we're here to represent. The whole point is for us to, like we mentioned in our mission statement, to be there and to represent those who are marginalized and minoritized in our community. We do not condone any violence. If there's any other violence other than the stuff that Mr. Antero has gratefully presented to us today, we will gladly take upon it. We will put our foot down, and which is what the Human Rights Commission is here for. If there's anything that to continue on from Mr. Antero's challenge to the Human Rights Commission, I challenge the people who run the city as well to actually come to our meetings and actually hear the things that we have to say. Most things that we're seeing right now are all reactive, but nobody's being proactive. And I feel like other than us, that's something that the city has to really focus on, considering the fact that our DII director is not here with us today. Just says a lot about the structure that we are trying to fix. If there are any other incidents, there is the Human Rights Commission submission that there's ways to anonymously reach out to us in order to understand and things that are going on in our city. Do not be afraid of talking about things that are going on in the city, whether it be personally, whether it be for someone else. The whole point of the Human Rights Commission is to protect human rights, and that's why I encourage the people of the city to stand up for their rights and really report on the things that are going on in their lives so that we could find ways to protect each other. I think going on from whatever happened on Tuesday, just be prepared for the citizens of Revere, just be prepared for us to be a lot more outspoken about the things that are going on in our city, considering the fact that they've gone violent over the past couple of years. So I encourage everyone to do that. Before we head on, I would like for someone to set a motion to adjourn the meeting. All in favor say aye. That being said, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for the commissioners for joining us for today's meeting, and thank you for people online who are watching us for joining us in the meeting. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.